Well, good morning, you sexy mother hubbards. It's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the Express. Relentless action is stopping illegal migration. Is it really though? Because I'm sure I read last week, James Cleverly was giving himself a pat on the back for there being no boats attempting to cross the channel that day. And then it turned out that the reason there were no boats is because there were gale force winds. This piece says that Sunak insists channel crossings are down by about a third. Which sounds good, you know, if you're a callous, sociopathic, detached conservative who's bet his political career on making life unnecessarily harder for society's most desperate. But even though it sounds good, you know, for Rishi Sunak and Express readers, the unfortunate reality is that Rishi Sunak's pledge wasn't, I'll get them down a little bit. The pledge was to stop the boats. Which is, I suppose, why the language has now changed to stopping. You know, it's like, baby, I know I promised I would stop spending our rent money in the bookies and then on the rare occasion that I actually made a win, taking the barmaid next door out for a cheeky couple of wines. I know I promised I was going to stop that, but I'm stopping. You know, it's a process. Be patient. Anyway, just as stop shifts to stopping, the English Channel will move to channeling the results of a poll that suggests 2/3 of the UK now want an election before this summer. And it's always funny to me, you know, like the polls that they actually listen to. Like Ian Duncan Smith was on Twitter the other night saying, we need to bin inheritance tax. Most of the public are actually behind us on this, so let's just trash inheritance tax. It's obviously what the public want. Maybe that's true, you know, maybe most of the public are dumb enough to trash a tax that 95% of us will never actually benefit from trashing. But it is still at least interesting, isn't it, that Ian Duncan Smith listens to that poll, but when it's a poll demanding a general election or a poll saying that the Tories should basically F off, well then they're a little bit more cautious, aren't they? A little bit more measured. Then they're like, oh, well, you know, polls could change in the blink of an eye. Uh-huh. What about in the space of 2 years? Over to the Times now. The PM says, I will put more cash in your pockets. And it's just like, oh, God. Like, no, he's not going to put more cash in your pocket. Inflation is still high. If your rent hasn't already soared, it will do when your buy-to-let landlord next remortgages. If you're a homeowner, your remortgage will explode the next time you have to negotiate it. Energy bills just went up again yesterday. I'm going to put more cash in your pockets. Oi, Rish. Yeah, we've got enough sewage around here. Thank you. Could you just close your noise hole? Finally, two sister stories that we could file under when Tories do tech. First one's in the Telegraph. It suggests that new laws are required to tackle the rise of AI terror chatbots. Indeed, this from Robert Mendick. It says, new terrorism laws are required to counter the threat of radicalisation posed by AI chatbots, the government's advisor on terror legislation says today. Is that right? Is that a threat? People are being radicalised by chatbots. Are they? Yeah, hi. I'm trying to connect my Siemens smart fridge to my online Sainsbury's account, but it doesn't seem to want to work. We can get to that in a minute, but first let me tell you about the UK arms that are being used in Yemen. Like, seriously, like, who's being radicalised by an AI chatbot? Has that ever happened? Like, I don't want to start anyone's year off by pushing them into some existential psychological meltdown, but if you're capable of being influenced, nay, radicalised, by a chatbot, I'm not even sure that makes you a real person. So that's the first one of these two stories. Tories in tech. The second one is here on the Daily Mail. First police probe into virtual rape. A virtual violent assault of some description. Like, isn't that a paradoxical kind of concept? How could you have a violent attack that takes place online and actually has no physical element to it whatsoever? Like, I'm not saying it couldn't ever be an actual offence or hugely traumatic for people who spend a lot of time online and they're in a game and then suddenly a load of veritable strangers surround them and do God knows what to them. But I'm not sure it's helpful to actual victims, survivors of literal physical attacks, if you then sort of conflate what happens in a video game with what they've actually gone through. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like it seems weird to me, you know? And I don't want to trivialise something that someone else has gone through that hasn't impacted me, but I put myself in that situation, you know? If I was in the Metaverse, or if I'm in Roblox, and I'm just sort of wandering around, going about my business, I'm driving a little car, or I'm walking up and down an escalator or something, and then a load of strangers, other avatars all surround me and start pulling down my pants, or taking off my hoodie or something. Do you know what I would do in that situation? I'd probably leave the game. I'd probably be like, yeah, it's got a bit weird, this game, isn't it? Might try Tetris.